three very simple materials in the cycles of render. So if you go and switch cycles of render in Blender, basically the first material will be wood, the second will be granite, and the third will be glass. So let's go ahead and get started. Delete the default cube and add a plane. What you're going to want to do is scale this plane up and take one edge of it and extrude it outwards. And basically curve it up, and then once you've curved it up, go straight up. And then add a subdivision surface modifier to this. Select all of the edges, except for the ones that are curved, and press Ctrl E, edge crease. Alright, and then smooth this out. So this is basically our background for where our materials are going to be tested. So if I go ahead and go to the front view and position my camera with Control Alt 0, number pad 0, let's position my camera forward some. Let's add a sphere now, because this is what our material is going to go on, and all three of them. So I'm not going to add 3 just yet. I'm going to press Control 2 to add a subdivision surface modifier for the value of 2. I'm going to smooth it, and then after that, I'm going to UV map it. So I'm going to click Sphere Projection. Once you have done that, you need to create a new material and name this wood, because this is our first material. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and go grab the materials. They are right here. Thank you to Episcura, I think that's how you say it, for providing the textures. They're free textures. Free textures on a wonderful website that they have. There we go. So this is the texture I'm going to use, sorry. And I have a granite texture that I'm going to use right over here. I already have these downloaded, and also I have a normal map of them. So for those who don't know, here's a granite texture by the way. For those who don't know, a normal map basically makes the object look as if it is coming out. So let's just say I had a bump on this object here, so let's just say that was a bump. It doesn't look like that's a bump, but the normal map would make it look like that. It would make the shadows and everything. Alright, so I have the wood pre-done, so I'm going to open up that texture. I will give you guys all the textures that I have here. I'm going to open up all of these, just because it's good. Alright, so they are all opened. I'm going to give this wood texture the wood planks, and I'm going to go into my texture mode. As you can see, it looks pretty good, like this. There's not really any stretches other than right there, but you're not going to be able to see that. That's just the UV mapping, that the sphere projecting. But so far it looks pretty good. There's a seam in the back, but you're not going to be able to see that, so that is okay. Alright, so we need to go ahead and get into the material part of this. So if we go into the node editor, let's close that part over there. We can now start creating our wood texture. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to grab the diffuse and the image detector, hold with shift by the way to select both of them, and then G. Okay, so add a mix shader. So for those who have not watched my beginning of Cycles Render, you will not know what this is. So basically what this editor is, it's basically editing the materials. So let's just say I wanted to add the glass shader or velvet shader, the toon shader, or whatever it is that I want to do to the material. It will change the material as it's obviously saying. Okay, so go ahead and press Shift A and add a glossy shader. This basically makes the object shiny. Alright, so once you've done that, you want to duplicate the image texture, change it to the wood normal maps, the wood normal map, and change it non-color data. That's very important, by the way, non-color data. Add a normal map node, drag the color input into the normal map color input, and drag the normal input into both the glossy normal output, drag the normal map output into both the glossy and diffuse input. Okay, so this is okay, I guess. Right now that's it's looking okay. We need to also change the normal strength to 2. And then the roughness for this needs to be 0.283. Alright, so that's not going to look that great if you rendered it right now. If I went ahead and rendered this, let me change my sampling to be 50 instead of 128. There you go. If I rendered this, it looks okay, but it's not great. Also, we have to set up our sky here, so let's go ahead and do that. So sky texture, and we'll just set this to 2. Okay. While we're at it, let me go ahead and do some lighting details here. So also, for those who don't know, you can basically make planes, a new material to these guys, and create lights out of these planes. So like if you did select the diffuse surface and change to mission, and we'll just set it to like 2. This is actually now a light, so now if you rendered it, it's going to be pretty bright. And you can change this whatever you want. Okay, so that's the material. It doesn't necessarily look like a wood material right now. It kind of looks flat. So if we go back to the node editor, of course we'd want to select the wood material. Okay, so we're going to need to add a Fresnel. So this basically makes it look like it has some sort of mass to it, so we can see around it. So we're going to change this to 3.506, and then drag this into the factor of the mix shader. Here we go. So if now we render this, should look a lot better. Yes, it does. As you can see, it kind of looks like we have stuff to the sides of it. Alright, and we see we have a shadow there that we didn't have before. And as I said for the normal map, you could kind of see, if you zoom out, it kind of looks like it has some bump to it. There we go. So that is the simple wood texture. Now what you're going to want to do is duplicate that and give it a new material, so delete that one and call it Granite. And this one is a bit simpler. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and give this an image texture of Granite. And of course, again, drag it out, add a mix shader and a glossy shader. So this is almost the same thing except a little bit different. We're not going to use the bump map for the glossy. So same thing, duplicate this image texture, non-color data, change it to the normal map. There we go, and add normal map. Right? And we're just going to drag this into the diffuse. There we go. And another thing we're going to do is this, actually as you can see in the preview over here, it looks terrible. It's okay, we're going to change that. So we're going to add an RGB curve to the image texture before the diffuse. We're going to make it a little bit brighter. Okay, so basically now what we need to do is set the factor of this, because at the moment it's pretty shiny, so we need to set it kind of a little bit low. About probably there. You can mess with it if you want to. I'm going to change this roughness to be a little bit lower too, just because I like it being pretty shiny. And you can mess with these factors here until you get something that you like. Of course, change the strength again to 2. There we go. Okay, so in the 3D view, we're going to change the render part. By the way, if you want to do that, it's Shift B. Shift B to do that, and then it just renders that part. Okay, so now we're rendering it, and as you can see, we have a nice little glossiness to this. We can see we have some gloss there. We can see kind of in the sky type of thing. We can actually, that's the brightness. That's the emitter above us, and that is the granite texture there. Now the last one. The granite material, sorry. The last one is the glass. So this one is really simple. I know a lot of people try to figure out what good glass looks like, but it's actually pretty simple. So some people go too far and make a ton of nodes and make it look amazing. But you can make it look amazing even if you don't have a lot of nodes. So let's go back into the node editor, and this time just delete the diffuse. We don't need texture for this, by the way. Add a mix shader, add a glass, add a translucent node, and then add a light path. And then take the glossy ray, and put it into the factor. And I think everything is now finished. So that is the very simple glass texture there. We're not going to really be able to see it too well because the background is white and you can't really see if you can see through it or anything like that. As you can see, we have some reflection there of the sky. We have reflection there and we can see through this part. But you can kind of see it's kind of glass. It's hard to see since the background there. But we'll make this background a little bit darker. Let's just do a dark blue. This will look a lot better. There we go. Alright. So that is 3 beautiful materials in Cycles Render. If you guys want to see more, ask in the comments. And yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.